It's been a long time since I've done this. It's been so long since I have picked up a camera and vlogged. I think the last video that was uploaded to this channel was maybe 3 years ago. It would have been December 2020. And I think I was kind of trying to do Vlogmas of December 2020, but I never made it to the end and I was awful. I fell off during the actual uploads. And to be fair, there was an awful lot going on. And I will explain to you why I never finished, where I have been, and what's currently going on in my life and what's going to be currently coming up on this channel. It's still going to kind of be vlogged based, but not less of me talking down and probably more of just showing you what's going on, as opposed to just sitting down and talking at the camera. I think that's going to be the best way to do it, but we will, as we go along, you will understand why I'm saying that. So you might want to grab a cup of tea and let's have a catch up. So as I said earlier, the last video I uploaded was Vlogmas December 2020, and if I'm really honest with you, I struggled through that month. That month was the catalyst of the last 3 years. Basically, that was the month that changed, the start of the months that changed, the starting month that changed everything. So early December 2020, we had, I'll call her an aunt because she was like an aunt to me. She was diagnosed very early on with cancer, and well, not very early on, she was diagnosed very late with cancer, and she literally declined in a matter of weeks. I think it was weeks, and yeah, it was quite tough. She lived in Barbados, and we were trying to support my cousin, trying to support her through all of that, and it was quite hard being that far away and not being able to really do anything. And in the same time that was happening, I also got made redundant from my job, which I had held for 4 years. I managed to keep it through most of the pandemic. I used to work for a car park operator, I won't tell you which one, but in December they decided to rearrange the department I was in, and me and my manager's job was basically cold. So we kind of was, along with a number of other people, were made redundant in December, which at the time I was like, you know what, it is what it is, what will be will be. And I kind of just seen it as, at the time I had started my business, and I was just kind of like, do you know what, I'll take some time, they're giving me a little bit of money, I'll take maybe a month off just to kind of redo my CV, you know, get myself, have a break while all of this is going on, and then in the new year I will start. Because if anyone knows, if you live in the UK, starting job hunting in December, not the greatest month, to be honest. A lot of companies are winding down their financial year, and they don't normally start rehiring to maybe April or May of that following year, because then they kind of know what their budget is for the next year going forward. Anyway, to cut a long story short, that was what was going on in December. And I think I mentioned in the last video, because I did go back and have a look at it to see what I had said, that life was just pulling me sideways, and it really was. Because I also don't know if you guys are aware, or if I made it very obvious on the channel, but Kyron was in secondary school, and he was in private secondary school, which means fees have to pay. You understand what I'm saying? Money have to make, and money had to be paid for fees. So I kind of had enough. I knew a fee was due in January. The next set of fees were due in January, and then the next one wouldn't be due to around April. So in my brain, I had maybe a month or two to kind of get myself back earning before I'd have to have my portion of the fees ready for April. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on. But then January came and my stepdad passed, and that's when everything just went left. It went very, very left, very, very quickly, because now was I not financially earning anything, my stepdad was no longer here, who was kind of helping my mum, obviously, well, not kind of helping my mum, but was, you know, financially helping my mum, or financially supporting my mum to a degree. She had also given up work to spend more time with him. So this had just been like, this was like a triple whammy. It was just a triple whammy. I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and say that we all had it figured out, because we really didn't. And at the time, I must say that I'm very, very fortunate. They were paying some money towards Kyron's fees. So you can imagine we were tussling. Yeah, January came. We just, between losing my aunt and then losing him so quick in succession, and we weren't prepared for that either, it just felt like, what the hell is going on? And I'm not gonna lie, it knocked me off of my feet, knocked Kyron off of his feet, knocked my mum sideways. And if I really think back to those fair few months of 2021, if I'm really honest, they were a blur. They were literally a blur. I spent a lot of time going between my mum's and here, back and forth and back and forward. But anyway, as time went on, obviously I started to look for work, and I knew I had to get into employment by July, August. I knew I needed to be employment before then, because the next set of fees would then be due in September. And I did with the fact that we didn't really have I didn't have that safety net. I was kind of like, which is very bad of me, but we're not going to go into that. So before anybody wants to go off in the comments, mind your business. You know, sometimes we don't always plan for those days, because we don't expect those days to be coming at that point in time. Anyway, I went back to work. I started a new job in July of 2021. And I think from that day onwards, we I was just juggling working a full-time position. I was working full-time before that, but I worked majority of my time at home. So it was split between home and going into the office. So I was already doing the hybrid before it became trendy, so to speak. So now this was 5 days a week in a work environment. Luckily, it's not far from home. So that was a big learning curve. Also, in that September, we were going into Kyron's final year of secondary school. So you can imagine there was a lot of stuff going on. And I just didn't vlog. I just didn't feel motivated. I didn't feel, as you can imagine with grief, I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. And there was just so many things going on. I was trying to keep my head above water, keep my bills paid, support Kyron as he was heading into this final year. There was just an awful lot going on. So I think from July 2021, we kind of were just getting on with life, so to speak. And then in July of 2022, August of 2022, my auntie, who was in the August vlogs, the Florida vlogs, if you go back on my channel, you will see those. She had been battling cancer for the last 6 years. She deteriorated kind of rapidly, and she passed on the 12th of August 2022. And when I say, I just felt like, if anyone knows me personally, like personally as in my friends and my family know me, they know how much my auntie meant to me. Auntie Tony has been like, she's like another mom. She's literally raised me. She's been in, just as I always say, like my grandparents, they're just a part of your life forever. You don't know life without them. You've only known life with them. And that hit me. When I say it hit me in ways that you can only imagine. Bearing in mind, we were still very much grieving my stepdad and my other aunt, and I was still trying to come to terms with losing my great grandma and my grandma. yeah, there was a lot going on, if I'm really honest. Now I've just checked the timer of this video. I might have to split this into 2 videos. So this will be part 1, where have I been, and the part 2 will be what's going on. So stay tuned for part 2. So yeah, as I was saying, Not to Me Sideways was really not in a good place. I struggled. I didn't really get any time off of work. And I think it was made worse by the fact that I was there when she took her last breath. So for me, I don't know, it will always be an emotional thing for me. And I think because she was so young and she was just so full of life, she's always been someone who has grabbed life with both hands. And even with her diagnosis, she traveled, she tried to do as many things as she could possibly do. And yeah, it definitely hit me hard. So I think I might have messed my timelines up. So think of it like this: December 2023, I got made redundant. My aunt passed in Barbados. January 2021, my stepdad passed, and then I started a new job in July 2022. Kyron would have gone into year 4 in 2020. I started a new job in July 2021. Kyron would have started his 4th year in 2021 in September. My aunt then passed in August of 2022, and Kyron started his final year of secondary school in September of August 2022. So there was just, in that two years, there was just a lot of stuff going on. Then Kyron turned 16 in January. We had very big celebration for that. Obviously, we were missing 2 monumental people who have been, when I say they have been instrumental in Kai's life, I'd be lying if I didn't, but they played a very big role in his life and in my life, and they were very supportive in this thing called motherhood, or single motherhood, should I say. They were absolute stars. So to know he was turning 16 and finishing school and they weren't a part of it was kind of a little, they weren't physically here. It was a bit bittersweet, but as the youngins say, we move. And then he got his exam results in August of 2023. He did very well. Started his A-levels in September of 2023. My boy is studying A-level physics, maths, and product design. Yes, I know, physics and maths he definitely probably doesn't get his brains from me, so to speak, in that sense. But I mean, he's done exceptionally well. So he's currently studying that. And that's kind of where we have been. So we are now up to date. There has been an awful lot going on since then, but I will tell you about that in part 2. But just, yeah, life was severely kicking my butt for the last 2 years and is continuing to kick my butt, if I'm very honest with you. And that's kind of where we've been for the last 3 years, so to speak. So it's been rough. I'm not going to sit here and say it hasn't been rough. I haven't felt like picking up a camera and being like, hey guys, this is going on in life, because if I'm honest with you, I was in a job that has been very stressful. It was adding to my pressures. My grief was coming in waves. Like some weeks I'd be really good and some weeks I would struggle, just mentally, emotionally struggle. And I just feel like grief isn't something that's talked about a lot. Some people can be like, oh, it's only your auntie or whatever, you'll get over it, or if he's your stepdad, get over it kind of thing. Or some people tend to think like you've gone through the funeral, you should be fine now. Do you get what I mean? Like, I don't think people realize that grief is something that really never disappears, and you learn to kind of live with the situation. You don't necessarily learn to accept it, but you learn to live with life as it currently is. And I think that's where people miss the mark. You never fully accept losing a loved one. You never do. And anybody can come for me in the comments. I truly don't believe. I mean, I lost my childhood sweetheart just before my 21st birthday, and there are still times when it pangs me in my heart, because I just feel like, you know, there's the what would have been life, what would have been like at this age, you know. Just sometimes when I think back to how we were in our relationship, we could speak for hours. We talk about any and everything, and I always say to everyone, it wasn't just the aspect of, you know, losing a boyfriend, it was the aspect of losing like my best friend, and that I struggled for many years, and it's not the first thing I think about now, it's not the last thing I think about when I go to sleep, whereas some days I'll wake up and my stepdad will be on my mind, or my aunt will be on my mind, or my aunt will be on my mind, and I'll just be like, you know, I'll just feel down. I just literally just open my eyes and remember, this is literally life now. This is how it is. But yeah, it's been a lot, people. It's been a lot. But I'm hoping I can kind of make this channel a little lighter. There'll be some other stuff coming on. I think I'm going to start doing a few more hauls and things like that. And yeah, just showing you life now as it is. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to start the part 2 with what is currently going on in life. So if you want to know what's currently going on, you got to hit that subscribe button and subscribe, and wait for part 2, which will be coming next week. So yeah, stay tuned for that.